Hey, what's up everybody? My name is Charles Maring, and today I'm going to be answering a question that kind of came in last week via our YouTube channel comments about what do I look for as a wedding assistant or a second shooter at weddings. I'm going to answer that question in just a moment, but first, let's cut to our intro. So yeah, I've been a wedding photographer for 20 plus years. I just got back from Wedding and Portrait Photographers International, a trade show that I've been going to for so many years. I can't even remember when I started. I think it was 2001, 2000, maybe even earlier than that. Hard to believe. A long career to say the least in the wedding photography industry. But WPPI is an incredible place to learn. I give them kudos for keeping this conference going strong for all of these years. And I highly recommend those that are aspiring photographers that want to be wedding or portrait photographers to attend this conference every year because not only can you learn from all the platform speakers and those that are brought out that are absolute experts in their respective area, but you learn from others alongside you that are aspiring as well. I still learn every year when I go out from a different perspective, so I highly recommend it. With that said, somebody had posed the question, what do I look for in a second shooter at weddings or an assistant? And I want to answer that question. But quite honestly, I don't hire second shooters all that often. And the reason being is, having been in this industry for so long, I've got a lot of family in this industry. I can turn to them. I've trained them since they were in high school. I have a couple of nephews that are incredibly talented. Beyond that, my wife and I work together at a lot of our weddings. And she'll be hired, for instance, to photograph stills. I'll be hired to shoot video. And to tell you, since I'm shooting 4K video on my Lumix cameras, I'm shooting 125 high-resolution photographs every second. So really, photojournalistically speaking, I'm backing up all of her shots all day long in terms of photojournalism and pulling from those video files these beautiful moments and just complementing what she does. So it's a cool way to work, and I think the industry's evolved in new ways that allow us to think differently about how we capture wedding memories. So with that said, I'm gonna just talk here a little bit. I won't be sharing imagery. It's just gonna be talking about second shooters and what I expect. I also, when I was at WPPI, reached out to a few friends of mine who often hire second shooters, and they filled me in on a few stories of their own. So I'll share some things from their perspective as well. So first and foremost, for me anyway, one of the most important things I've learned is I really love it when my second shooters or assistants arrive just a few minutes early. If I say we're leaving at 10 a.m. for instance, it's so great when they arrive at 9:30 or 9:45. And I say that because as the main shooter, an immense amount of energy goes into the preparing for a wedding day, packing all the cameras, packing all the lenses, the flashes, the strobes, and making sure that all the batteries are charged, and then rechecking the bag 2 or 3 times to make sure you don't forget anything, because you don't want to arrive to a wedding and look back and be like, I forgot something. So a lot of energy goes into that, sometimes more energy than it takes to photograph the wedding. So instead of me looking at my watch going, I hope they're on time because we got to get moving, when second shooters or assistants arrive just a few minutes early, it just gives me a breath of fresh air and allows me to just kind of leave knowing that everything's going to flow smoothly. Reliability is so important. I mean, this goes without saying, I'm sure, but I was talking with a photographer who is a good friend of mine who has a very successful studio, and he has another photographer in his town. And the other photographer isn't quite as successful, but they agreed to make a pact that if he needs help, this photographer will help him, and vice versa. And they will not only help each other, but charge each other the same amount for assisting or second shooting. Lo and behold, recently, this photographer reached out to my friend and said, last minute on a Friday for a Saturday wedding, I don't think I'm gonna make it. You know, I just don't feel like I'm gonna make enough money doing it, and I'd rather go to the beach. Whoa, wait a second. Can you imagine that? Now, That's what I mean by reliability. Common sense isn't all that common these days, I gotta say. And I don't know why someone would leave someone hanging in that situation, but I gotta say, if you wanna last in this industry, especially with weddings, you have got to be incredibly reliable. Don't change your mind last minute. Don't decide you're not being paid enough last minute. You work out those details weeks or months in advance so that whoever you're working with can do their job to the highest degree. So again, reliability, number one, in everyone's book for second shooters. Study the style of the photographer that you're going to be working with, because their clients have an expectation of style. And so if you're going to be working with a photographer for the first time, get to know their work, study their website, have them send over lookbooks of several weddings so that they can get a feeling of the style of work that you do. And so that way on the wedding day, you're not completely the opposite in terms of style. I think that's important as well. I have second shot for some really big name studios at some really big weddings, just to help them, just to help out in the moment. I always ask that photographer to give me some of their cards. Give out the card of the studio that you're working for. Don't be stubborn, don't be uncool and try to sell yourself as the photographer giving out your own card. Even with all the success and the stories that I have and clients that I have, I still make it a point to do the right thing by the other studio or whoever I'm working for. So don't give out your own card. Give out the card for the studio who you're working for. Be honest about it. Be courteous to other professionals and vendors on the wedding day. This photographer that you're working for has spent their career probably building relationships that are long-lasting based on trust and based on positive energy. So show up with a positive attitude and positive energy and be pleasant to everyone that you walk into or that you bump into on the wedding day. Let's see, be honest about your experience level. There's nothing worse than working with someone who's a know-it-all already, and yet they really don't know what they're doing. So if you are not honest about your capabilities and your experience level, and you come in with a know-it-all attitude, that's just not a good place to start. You want to start off on a good foot, and by being honest, that photographer can guide you in the direction of your dreams and help you to learn, help you to be a better photographer yourself. So just be honest about your experience level. Really simple. Be excited to learn is the second thing. Enthusiasm to learn is incredibly important. Now, if you know my career already, and I don't know how to say this without it sounding pretentious, but I photograph the biggest weddings in the world and some of the smallest, 2 people on a beach. But you know, when you're photographing weddings for the President of the United States or presidents of other foreign countries or dignitaries or business leaders or celebrities, you get to know a lot about how to work with people and how to exceed their expectations. And I have a lot to teach anyone who would be assisting me or who would be a second shooter at a wedding for me. So just be enthusiastic to learn from me, because I can give you so much and take you to the next level. And if you're a know-it-all, there's not much I can do for you. So be enthusiastic. Be thoughtful in your approach to capturing images. And what I mean by that is, once you work with me, you realize that I'm very slow about taking pictures. I'm methodical, I'm thoughtful, I'm thinking about the moment, I'm thinking about the photographs. I'm not firing my camera like it's an automatic weapon. I am instead looking for moments. Click. Composing. Click. I'm being thoughtful about it. You don't walk away with fantastic photographs by shooting, by never looking, by just shooting. Be thoughtful in what you do. And you're also saving me as a photographer, or whoever you're working for, an incredible amount of time in the edit suite. You know, I have to go back and edit the entire wedding. So if I've got 1,000 photographs that you took and 900 of them are kind of meaningless because you just kept firing the camera, you've wasted my time and you've wasted a lot of energy. So just be slow, methodical, thoughtful, compose your photography, and spend some time in the moment. Speaking of that, be present. I know we all love our cell phones, we all love our devices, we're all connected, but put away your cell phone, make sure it's on silence. If you feel it buzz, certainly check it, because it could be me or whoever you're working for trying to get in touch with you. But don't be looking at your cell phone the whole time. I personally put mine on silence. I put it away. I only look at it if I have to. And by being present, you're just being a better employee. You're being a better photographer. You are in the moment, and that does make a difference. Dress appropriately. Look, I'm a t-shirt and jeans kind of guy. That's how I roll. But when it comes to weddings, I think about that. You know, I'm photographing a wedding coming up that's all white. I will be dressed in all white. If I'm photographing a black tie event, I'm dressed to the hilt. I want to be the best person at the wedding when it comes to dress. When it comes to casual weddings, certainly dress more casually, but ask whoever you're working for what's appropriate for the event and how you can blend in to the event so that you can be unnoticed and the quiet observer, finding and capturing moments. Really makes a difference in the experience the guests have and the client has, but also in your ability to be that quiet observer. Don't be afraid to ask. If you're unsure at any point about exposure, about color balance, make sure to ask. And I say that because don't feel like you have to know it all. I think if you're a second shooter, it's important to be on the same page as whoever you're working for. And so if you're unsure at any moment of the day, speak up so that we can find the solution and make things happen for you. So that's kind of my list of my most important things, as well as a few ideas I got from other professionals, talking to them at WPPI about this question. To the person who asked a question, I thank you for reaching out and posing it to me. I love it when people reach out to me and say, hey, this is what I'd like to know more about, because it just gives me content to share that's meaningful. So I appreciate that. Thanks for joining me today, and we appreciate you. Have a great one, everybody. Take care.